My fiance's best friend planned our honeymoon without asking me, my client said. I was finishing up a fade when my 3 o'clock walked in, and something about the way he sat down in my chair told me this wasn't going to be a normal haircut. His name was Derek, regular client for about 2 years, and he launched into venting before I even draped the cape around him. He started talking about how his fiancée, Vanessa's best friend Megan, had completely taken over their wedding planning, and how she'd just booked their entire honeymoon to Bali without consulting him. My scissors froze mid-cut because I knew exactly who Megan was. She'd been in my chair 3 weeks ago, showing me pictures of some guy she called her future husband while I trimmed her layers. The guy in those photos was Derek. She'd spent 45 minutes describing how they were meant to be together, and how his fiancé was just a temporary obstacle. I felt sick remembering how she'd smiled while saying Vanessa didn't deserve him. Derek kept going, completely oblivious to the bomb I was sitting on. He mentioned how Megan always seemed to show up whenever he and Vanessa had date nights, and how she'd convinced Vanessa to let her be maid of honor, even though they'd only known each other for 8 months. My coworker Rashid caught my expression in the mirror and mouthed, "What's wrong?" while his client was looking at his phone. I excused myself to grab some product and pulled Rashid into the back room, words spilling out faster than I could organize them. "That's the girl who was in here talking about stealing her best friend's fiancé. She literally showed me his picture and called the fiancé a temporary obstacle." Rashid's jaw dropped and he grabbed my arm, saying we had to tell him. But I hesitated because how do you drop that kind of bomb on someone getting a haircut before their wedding? Darius, our shop owner who'd been cutting hair for 30 years, overheard us and walked over with that look he gets when something serious is happening. He listened to the whole story, then said something that changed my approach entirely. "Don't tell him what she said. Make him see it himself. Men don't believe warnings, but they believe their own eyes." We huddled together and came up with a plan. When I went back to Derek, I kept the conversation casual while steering it toward the honeymoon details. He mentioned Megan had booked a resort with a couple's massage package and romantic dinner on the beach. I asked innocently if Vanessa was excited about the itinerary, and Derek paused. "Actually, Vanessa wanted to go to Greece. She's been dreaming about Santorini since college." I let that sit for a moment. Then Rashid walked by and casually mentioned how his sister's wedding almost got ruined by a jealous friend who kept accidentally planning things the bride didn't want. Derek's face shifted slightly, like a puzzle piece clicking into place. I pushed a little further, asking if Megan had ever dated anyone seriously, or if she spent most of her time with him and Vanessa. He went quiet, then slowly said she'd turned down 3 guys in the past year and always had excuses to crash their couple activities. Darius wandered over to check my work and casually dropped that his nephew's engagement ended because the maid of honor had been secretly in love with the groom for years. "Funny how some people insert themselves into relationships," he said, while examining Derek's hairline. "They plan honeymoons, pick wedding venues, choose the cake flavor, almost like they're practicing for when it's their turn." Derek's hands gripped the armrests of my chair, and I watched the realization wash over his face like cold water. He pulled out his phone and started scrolling through something, his expression darkening with every swipe. He turned the screen toward me with shaking hands. Megan had been texting him good morning every single day for 6 months. She'd sent him outfit options asking which one he liked better. She'd even sent a message last week saying she couldn't wait for Bali and had accidentally booked a room with a king bed instead of the suite Vanessa requested. "I thought she was just being helpful," Derek whispered, his voice cracking. "Vanessa kept saying I was being paranoid when I mentioned Megan was around too much." I finished his cut in silence while he processed everything. Before he left, he thanked me and said he needed to have a serious conversation with his fiancée. 3 weeks later, Derek came back for a trim before his wedding and told me everything. He'd shown Vanessa the texts, and she'd confronted Megan, who completely broke down and admitted she'd been trying to sabotage their relationship from day one. The honeymoon got changed to Santorini. Megan wasn't invited to the wedding.